we're going to add fractions together. Now, if you haven't covered our comparison lesson where we compare fractions, then I advise you to watch that video, understand it, go through it before we start this lesson. So let's go. We're going to say now, we're going to add 3/7, 4/10. So we can't add 7 and 10 together. We can't just add 3 parts of 7 just like that with 4 parts. And if you look at what 1/7 equals, it is a lot bigger than 1/10. So you can see where that ends, and you can see the section here. If I bring it down, it's a lot bigger than 1/10. So we're going to try now and make them equivalent so that we can add them together. So we need to find out what their equivalent part is. So we know that 7 multiplied by 10 equals 70. And if we find out that 10 parts of 10 equals 1, then 70 parts of 10 would equal 7. And if we had 70 parts of 7, we would know that that is actually 10. So as you can see, we can actually have 70 parts of 7 just like a mixed fraction, because 7 goes into 70 10 times and 10 goes into 70 7 times. So we can use this to help us. So we're going to say now 70 and 70. So we're actually splitting up a whole number into 70 parts, which is a lot of parts, but we're going to make it a lot simpler in a few minutes. Now to do that, we have to multiply our 3 by 10 because we've already multiplied 10 by 7, and we have to do the same here. We have to multiply 7 by 4 here, and we've already done that here. So let's go. 10 multiplied by 3 is 30, and 7 multiplied by 4 is 28. So straight away we know that 3/7 is actually bigger than 4/10. And that would make sense. If we have 3 and we have 4/10 right here, it's not as big as 3/7. This is our end point for 3/7. This is our end point for 4/10. So that makes a lot of sense. So we're on the right track. Let's add these together now. And let's move this. We don't need to add 70 and 70 because they're the exact same thing. We just need to add 30 and 28. We know that 30 plus 20 is 50, plus 8, 58. Now we can actually simplify this number because it's a very, very large fraction. We're separating this whole number into 70 parts. That's very hard to take account of. So we're going to divide by 2 and make it into a smaller fraction so that instead of 70 pieces, we're putting pieces together to make it a more comprehensive fraction, just like we've done before with 5 parts of 10. We can change 5 parts of 10 into a half. Or let's just say 2 parts of 10. We can change that into a fifth. So let's half 58. So we know half of 50 is 25. That's the way I do it in my head. I say half of 50 is 25. And then I say half of 8. And half of 8 is 4. So 25 plus 4, I figured that one out. I just need to add at the end. We know half of 70 because we know that half of 60 is 30. If we can think about that, half of 6 is equal to 3. So we know that half of 60 is 30. And then half of 10, we know half of 10 is 5. So we're going to write that down. And we could find out this number now. Let's bring it over to another page. So remember, we have 58 over 70. And what we did was we said half of 50 is 25 plus half of 8. I didn't even find out half of 58. I just want to find out half of 50 because I know it. And half of 8 is 4. And then I have half of 60. So instead of 70 parts, I'm making 35 parts. And we're going to add these together now. So we have 29 over 35 parts. And that's our answer. 29 parts of 35. So we know now that 3/7 plus 4/10 equals 29 35ths. Now we can't simplify this fraction anymore. So that's our answer, 29 parts of 35. Let's try another one that allows us to simplify. Here we have 10 over 12 and we're adding 2 parts of 6. So we're going to do that now, but this time we're going to look and see, is there anything we can do to make this easier? So there is. We can change this number, this 12th, into a 6. By dividing by 2. So if we see how many times 2 goes into 12, we can find that out now. So we're going to say 2 plus 2 is 4, plus 2 is 6, plus 2 is 8, plus 2 is 10, plus 2 is 12. So we can see that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to divide this by 2 to get a sixth. And using this, we know that if we say 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, we know that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 2s is in 10. So we're going to write down 5 parts of 6. We're going to add that now. Let's figure this out. 5 plus 2 is equal to 7, and our parts is 6. And the same answer, we're going to get 1 and 1/6. But if, say for example, 5 parts of 12 plus 2/6, we can't actually do this sum, because we can't half the number 5. And if you look at our 100 square, you can see that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cuts straight through a sixth. So it's not equal. Yet, if we just had 4, that's the same as 2/6. So when we have one extra fifth, one extra part, it's not equivalent. If we had had 6 extra parts, it would have equaled to 3/6. So in this case, we can't do that. So you always must be aware what the role of this number here plays when it comes to adding. Sometimes it works, sometimes it can't work. So again, we're going to say 72, and we're going to say 72. 12 multiplied by 2 is 24, we know that. And 6 multiplied by 5 is 30. Let's add. Now we have 54, and we have 72. If we're focused, we can do this really quickly by simplifying. So let's simplify by dividing it by 2. So separating it into 2. So let's go. We're going to say that 50 is 25 plus 25, and 4 is 2 plus 2. Half of 70 is 35, and half of 2 is 1 plus 1. So using that, we're going to say now 25 plus 2 equals 27, and 35 plus 1 equals 36. We can simplify again now. Now it's simpler to simplify. So let's go. We know that 3, we can divide 3 into this number. 27 divided by 3 equals 9, and 36 divided by 3 equals 12. We have 9 twelfths. We can go again. Divide 3 into 9, it equals 3, and divide 3, 12, it equals 4. So adding 5 twelfths and 2/6 equals 3/4.